My wife, Emily, and I moved into her mother's one-bedroom apartment in the heart of the city. It is important to note that we had previously lived in a one-bedroom apartment on the outskirts of the city. The move was a significant change for us, both in terms of living space and lifestyle. While living downtown provided better access to various amenities, it also posed challenges in terms of our privacy. That day, I woke up early to wash my hair before work. Emily was still asleep, wrapped up tightly in her blanket, oblivious to my attempts to slip out quietly without waking her. As soon as I crawled out from under the blanket, the morning chill hit me, making my escape to the bathroom even more awkward. My mother-in-law, Barbara, was already awake. She was a lush woman with a carefully painted face, her makeup always flawless even at this early hour. She worked in some kind of construction department and treated me roughly, though she was known to be that way with everyone, not just me. Her husband had died of a heart attack long before we were married, and Barbara had been on her own ever since. Trying not to make any noise, I stepped out into the hallway. The light was on in the kitchen, which meant Barbara was up. She was always the first to wake up. She was in the habit of getting everything ready to start the day before everyone was awake. The hallway had a soft, tufted carpet that muffled my footsteps as I moved. I dug through my jacket pockets, looking for a hairbrush, then turned to the bathroom door and stopped. I stood in a beam of light from the kitchen that was visible from where I stood. I could almost see Barbara in her bathrobe, standing by the kitchen cabinet and swaying strangely and convulsively, her hands gripping the countertop. At first, I thought she wasn't feeling well, perhaps dizzy or in pain. I instinctively lunged forward, took a couple steps, and then stumbled something was wrong. Looking closer, I realized what she was doing. Well, I thought to myself, she's a woman, and she's lonely without a man. So she decided to take care of herself, finding a moment of release in the loneliness of early morning. Clumsily, out of inertia, I entered the kitchen. Barbara looked around quickly, a look of surprise and guilt on her face. She froze, meeting my eyes, and then lowered her gaze guiltily. "Ryan, you're up already," she said in a shaky voice, barely containing her rapid breathing. "Do you need to make coffee?" "No, I'm fine, Mom." "I'll be fine," I replied, trying to sound casual, and briskly made my way toward her, or rather, toward the coffee can she was standing beside. The convenient approach to the coffee can was blocked by the imposing figure of my mother-in-law, who filled the small space of the kitchen with her presence. I leaned against her from behind to reach for the coffee, feeling the warmth of her body through her robe. And then I realized I'd gone too far. I squinted my eyes, not knowing what would happen next, and my heart raced. And then something unexpected happened. Barbara turned and wrapped her arms around me, pulling me tight against her. We were on the floor, tangled together, and my mother-in-law stared at me like a hungry animal, then pulled me to her. I gave in, our desires overwhelming us both. Right there, on the cold kitchen floor, we did it for the first time, and the intensity of the moment drowned out all thoughts of consequences or regret. Afterward, we sat at the kitchen table and sipped our coffee in silence. The warmth of the mug in my hands was soothing, but my thoughts were racing. The alarm clock rang in the bedroom, the sound echoing through the apartment, followed by the creak of the bed as Emily got up. Barbara stroked my leg under the table, her fingers light and teasing, and she smiled at me like a young girl with a secret. I realized that this was just the beginning. My mother-in-law, Barbara, and I still had exciting, forbidden adventures ahead of us. I hoped my wife, Emily, would never find out, feeling guilt and elation. The rest of the day passed like a blur. Emily met us sleepily, unaware of what had happened just minutes before. Barbara acted as if nothing had happened, her demeanor calm and poised, but every time she looked at me, there was a new spark in her eyes. As I got ready for work, I couldn't get rid of the feeling of Barbara's touch, the memory of her lips on mine. It was dangerous, exhilarating, and utterly unfathomable. As the days passed, Barbara and I developed a secret understanding. There were fleeting touches when Emily wasn't looking, secret glances across the room, and moments when it was just the two of us and the tension between us was palpable. Each encounter added a new layer to our relationship built on secrecy and forbidden desire. The risk of being caught only heightened the excitement, and I craved those moments more and more. One evening, Emily stayed late at work, leaving Barbara and me alone in the apartment. As soon as the front door closed behind Emily, Barbara pounced on me. We didn't even make it to the bedroom. The passion overwhelmed us in the living room, on the couch. It was reckless, but in that moment it seemed to be the only thing that mattered. We lost ourselves in each other, and the world outside the window went dark. Guilt was ever present in the back of my mind, but it was eclipsed by the elation of it all. When it was just the two of us, Barbara was like a different person, no longer the strict, balanced mother-in-law, but a woman full of passion and longing. And I was drawn to her, unable to resist the pull of our secret affair. I knew it couldn't last forever. The danger of exposure was real, and I tried not to think about hurting Emily. But for now, Barbara and I were content to live in the moment, enjoy the stolen time we had together, and keep our secret from the world.